So they have three great festivals in the year: May Eve, Midsummer's Eve, and November Eve. On May Eve, every 7th year, they fight all around, but mostly on the plain of Bon, wherever that is, for the harvest. For the best ears of grain belong to them. So they do a lot of different things. A lot of cultures have a lot of different things. One of the things that, the reason I brought the oatmeal cookies is that they talk about not only the fires of Beltane, but of the oak cakes that they would make, and they would actually mark one of the, in some cultures, they would, like in Scotland I think it is, they would mark it, or Wales, they would mark it, one of the oak cakes with a little bit of charcoal, and when they, went around like a lottery, whoever got the one with the charcoal had to jump over the fire 3 times. So they would build a pretty huge fire. You're pretty likely to get pretty likely to get your tail feathers burned. So
of course you'd had enough.
November Eve is what? November Eve is what?
Halloween.
Halloween. Samhain, is that the correct pronunciation?
Samhain.
Samhain.
There are many different pronunciations.
So the reason, one of the things that they believed about this time, and I'm going to have him read about these people, is they believed in the fairies. Okay, the Celtic people, that's where we call leprechauns and fairies and the banshee and everything. Is all are, and most of us, all of us here are Celt tradition. Western European, Caucasians, we're Celts. And so the fairy people in Irish mythology, the Tuatha Dé Danann, were the children of the goddess Dana. They were the She, as they're called, were the gods of the Ireland. And when the other Celt invaders came and drove them out, they went into the hills. They went into the mounds and the hills and the forests and the lakes, and they became the elemental creatures of the land. So they're the gods, but they were really like they were the people that were there first, and they went away. They were driven out of their habitat, and there's big battles, and there's a lot of really cool stories. But the May Eve, Midsummer's Eve, and Halloween, what we know as Halloween, were when the veil between these worlds, the fairy world and the mortal world, fell away. And you would have encounters with those creatures, most likely on those days. And there's a great story that part that I'd like to share with you later, but that's sort of setting up what this was all about. And they have, I'm going to let Ken read a section that each talks about those people, but this was a time when they were, it was most evident that you would have an encounter with the fairies on May Day. And there's a famous, in this book, the Fates of the Prince of Dyfed is a classic example. But if you would read this it kind of explains who they are. Thanks, Ken.
Yes. And which part do you want me to read?
I'd read that whole thing of notes.
Okay.
Just because it's very cool. You don't have to go to that anymore. Just that one page.
The page, I got you.
Occultists, from Paracelsus to Eliphas Levi, divided the nature spirits into gnomes, sylphs, salamanders, undines, or earth, air, fire, and water spirits. Their emperors, according to Eliphas, are named Cob, Heralda, Jin, Pix, respectively. The gnomes are covetous and of the melancholic temperament. Their usual height is but 2 spans, though they can elongate themselves into giants. The sylphs are capricious and of the bilious temperament. They are in size and strength much greater than men, as becomes people of the winds. The salamanders are wrathful and in temperament sanguine. In appearance they are long, lean, and dry. And the undines are soft, cold, fickle, and phlegmatic. In appearance they are like man. The salamanders and sylphs have no fixed dwellings. It has been held by many that somewhere out of the void there is a perpetual dribble of souls, that these souls pass through many shapes before they incarnate as men, hence the nature spirits. They are invisible except at rare moments and times. They inhabit the interior elements, while we live upon the outer and the gross. Some float perpetually through space, and the motion of the planets drives them hither and thither in currents. Hence some Rosicrucians have thought astrology may foretell many things, for a tide of them flowing around the earth arouses there motions and changes according to its nature. Besides those of human appearance are many animal and bird-like shapes. It has been noticed that from these latter entirely come from the familiars seen by Indian braves when they go fasting in the forest, seeking the instruction of the spirits. Though all at times are friendly to some men, they have, says Paracelsus, an aversion to self-conceited and opinionated persons, such as dogmatists, scientists, drunkards and gluttons, and against vulgar and quarrelsome people of all kinds. But they love natural men who are simple-minded and childlike, innocent and sincere, and the less there is of vanity and hypocrisy in a man, the easier will it be to approach them, but otherwise they are as shy as wild animals.
I thought that was